It's my pleasure to welcome you to the second of the Babs-Callan Post-Gazette Energy Forums. We're delighted to have you here. We're delighted to have this distinguished panel. And before we start, I want to ask Joe Reinhardt, who's a shareholder at Babs-Callan, to join me in welcoming you.
Thank you, David. Good evening and welcome to the second in a series of 3 Post-Gazette Babs-Callan Energy Forums. I would also like to welcome and thank our panel of speakers. They've agreed to contribute their time and considerable talents in tackling the challenging subject of the costs and opportunities of energy development. We are pleased that David Shribman and the Post-Gazette have convened this panel with the goal of helping us to better understand the advantages and disadvantages of the major forms of energy. Western Pennsylvania has been blessed with abundant natural resources that include many sources of energy. Our supplies of coal, petroleum, and natural gas have been powerful drivers of the regional economy for over a century and helped Pittsburgh develop into a world leader in steel production. More recently, the development of the Marcellus Shale Formation has the potential to make Pennsylvania a world leader in the production of natural gas. The positive economic impact to the region is apparent. However, history has demonstrated that reckless development of our energy sources can cause long-term impacts to the environment and impair the quality of our lives. As such, we must be mindful of our obligation to act as responsible environmental stewards and to protect our natural resources for the benefit of future generations. For many years, the lawyers at Babs-Callan have worked closely with our clients to assist them in managing their businesses in a manner that is safe and protective of the environment. Federal and state laws have become increasingly complex, and they are prone to change as pollution control technologies improve and our knowledge of the environment expands. We have found that solutions to complex environmental challenges are possible if knowledgeable and reasonable people are able to collaborate and to discuss the facts and common objectives in a thoughtful and, most importantly, respectful manner. In the first energy forum that took place here in April, the panel discussed how to strike a balance between energy development and environmental protection in connection with the development of the Marcellus Shale. Tonight's panel takes a broader look at many sources of energy, both traditional carbon-based forms of energy as well as alternative energy. Over the last decade, state laws mandate that the electric power industry include in their portfolio alternative sources of energy, such as wind, solar, and hydropower. Through our elected representatives, Pennsylvanians have expressed a desire to promote green sources of energy with the expectation that their electric energy supply will remain affordable and that it will be reliable. However, the average citizen is unlikely to appreciate all of the factors that influence a utility selection of energy sources or the long-term effects of those decisions. There are unique environmental risks and benefits associated with every energy source. Our goal for this evening's discussion is to help increase public awareness of these potential risks and benefits and to promote a constructive dialogue on a topic that is important to this region and to our country. And with that, I give the podium back to the Post-Gazette's executive editor, David Shribman.
Is the dichotomy between environmental purity and sufficient power a false choice?
In my view, there is a clear trade-off between environmental purity and any kind of human development. At the margin, we have destroyed a lot of habitat for farmland. We continue to value ecosystem services at a very low level to our peril in places like New Orleans. On the other hand, it's clear that we have increased the value of the human condition by some of those ecosystem changes, farming, for example. It's the same with energy. At every point, you can say we have a loss of something and we have a gain of something.
Society, I think, is what we have today, really because of fossil fuels. We were able to drive to this event tonight and will be able to drive home because of fossil fuels. We have these lights on today because of fossil fuels. We have the ability to go to a well-lit, technological advanced doctor's office because of fossil fuels. And I think that's the starting point to try to draw the balance, which I think that we do need to draw between environmental issues and the energy that keeps this country going.
We're at a point where it's no longer an option, it's a must. Public health is suffering, and while coal and other fossil fuels tout themselves as cheap, the human cost is sometimes incalculable. It is skyrocketing every day. I visit the communities where this is happening, and from the mining to the burning to the dumping of the ash, we're holding those communities back. We're holding our future back. We're holding our country back. People are being forced to suffer, and they're being forced to think that they have to choose jobs or health. We need both. We must have both. That's economic development, is when you have health. That's the cornerstone of economic development.
All here today talking about energy because of technology, and indeed the Marcellus Shale. We're talking about that because of technology. Developing technologies and applying them to resources creates both costs and benefits for a society. Economists call some of these things externalities. What are the things not accounted for in simply the decision to drill? Externalities may be pollution, noise, aquifer damage, all sorts of things. Now, getting back to the main point here, the dichotomy between developing a resource and the economy, good regulatory policy is all about closing externalities, having the appropriate parties pay for the waste that they're causing, the damage that they're causing. Good, appropriate regulatory policy creates jobs when it closes externalities. So I don't think it's a either or. I think regulatory policy closing externalities can actually add to economic growth, and it can be a win-win for everybody.